The Connecticut Sun just sold for $300 million, but two buyers offered $25 million more, and the WNBA blocked them both. This happened in 2026. The team moves to Houston in 2027, and the woman who made it happen is WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. Here's what she did, and why nobody stopped her. Before we get into it, let's talk about what a WNBA franchise is actually worth right now. The league just signed a $2.2 billion television deal, the biggest in women's sports history. Franchise values are exploding. And here's the number that puts everything in perspective. The New York Liberty sold for just over $10 million in 2018. 8 years later, the Connecticut Sun just sold for $300 million. That's 30 times more, in less than a decade. $300 million sounds like a record, and it is, but it's $25 million less than what two other buyers were willing to pay. And Cathy Engelbert blocked them both. Here's what happened. The Connecticut Sun has been owned by the Mohegan Tribe since 2003. The Mohegans made history that year. They became the first Native American tribe in history to own a professional sports team. They took a struggling franchise, the Orlando Miracle, relocated it to Uncasville, Connecticut, and built one of the most consistently successful teams in the league. 8 straight playoff appearances, 4 trips to the WNBA Finals. And Connecticut wasn't just any market. This is the home of UConn women's basketball, the program that has produced more WNBA talent than any other in the country. 12 national championships. Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, Breanna Stewart, Rebecca Lobo. The women's basketball roots in that state run deeper than almost anywhere in America. But before I tell you what the league did to them, I want you to ask yourself one question. If an NBA owner tried to force a seller to accept a lower bid and blocked 2 higher offers to do it, would we even be calling it a business decision? Or would we be calling it something else entirely? Keep that question in mind, because everything that happens next makes a lot more sense when you do. But by 2024, the situation had become impossible. Connecticut is the smallest market in the entire league. The arena, Mohegan Sun Arena, couldn't compete with the facilities being built in bigger cities. And when the 2025 season started, the Sun's entire starting lineup from the year before was gone. Every single one of them. Alyssa Thomas, Brianna Jones, DeWanna Bonner, all left in free agency. The Sun went 11-33, worst record in franchise history. The Mohegan Tribe knew it was time to sell. So they opened the bidding, and 2 serious offers came in, both at $325 million. The first was from Steve Pagluka, a former minority owner of the Boston Celtics. He wanted to move the team to TD Garden in Boston. The second was from Mark Lasry, a former co-owner of the Milwaukee Bucks. He wanted to move the team just a few miles away, to Hartford, Connecticut, keeping it in the state, keeping the fans. Both bids were higher, both buyers were credible, both had former NBA ownership experience. Cathy Engelbert rejected them both. The league's official statement? Relocation decisions are made by the WNBA Board of Governors, not by individual teams. Translation: it doesn't matter what the seller wants. It doesn't matter what the buyer is willing to pay. Cathy Engelbert decides where teams go, and she had already decided. Because here's what Engelbert had said publicly, months before the sale, at the league's expansion announcement. She named Houston specifically. She called it the city the league had its eye on. She called Rockets owner Tillman Fertitta a great supporter of the WNBA. That was not a hint. That was a destination. So when Fertitta came in at $300 million, $25 million less than the competing bids, Engelbert steered the Mohegan Tribe toward his offer anyway. The tribe accepted. Because what choice did they have? Engelbert didn't just pick a buyer, she picked the price. Now, a U.S. senator is calling for a federal investigation. Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut went public immediately. He called the league's interference deeply harmful to fans. He said Engelbert's office had put, his words, a full-court press on blocking the Sun from staying in Connecticut. And he called on the Department of Justice to investigate whether the league violated antitrust law. That's not a complaint. That's a congressional demand for a federal antitrust probe into a women's sports league. And the WNBA's response? Silence. Let's talk about who actually got hurt here. The Mohegan Tribe built something real. For 23 years, they gave Connecticut a major league professional sports team. They poured money into that franchise when nobody else would. They kept it alive through losing seasons in small markets and facility problems that were never their fault to begin with. And when they finally tried to sell, at the peak of WNBA valuations, at a moment when women's basketball had never been worth more, Engelbert told them their preferred buyer wasn't acceptable. Take the lower offer. Or else. That's $25 million taken directly out of a Native American tribal community's future. And then there are the fans. 23 years of Connecticut Sun fans who filled that arena, who drove hours to watch playoff games, who watched their team reach 4 WNBA finals. They don't get a vote. They don't get a say. They get one final season in 2026, and then the lights go off. Now, here's where the story gets complicated. Because Houston isn't the villain here. Houston is getting something back that was taken from them first. If you were watching women's basketball in the late 1990s, and if you're a longtime fan, you remember the Houston Comets. They played at the Compaq Center, the same building that used to pack in 16,000 fans on a Tuesday night just to watch women's basketball. In Houston, in 1999, they were one of the 8 original WNBA franchises. And they didn't just win, they dominated. 4 consecutive WNBA championships, 1997, 1998, 1999, 2000. No team in WNBA history has ever matched that run. Cynthia Cooper was their engine. 4 Finals MVP awards. But the names around her, Sheryl Swoopes, Tina Thompson, those were Hall of Famers. A dynasty built on players who could have been anywhere in the world and chose Houston. And then there was Kim Perro, the point guard who was diagnosed with cancer during the 1999 season. She kept playing as long as she could. She passed away in August of that year, just weeks after the Comets won their 3rd title. They won the 4th championship that same season and dedicated it to her. That's what Houston lost when the Comets folded in 2008. It wasn't just a team. It was something people had built their identity around. Tillman Fertitta, the man buying this team, still has those 4 championship banners hanging in Toyota Center. He's been waiting for this moment. So yes, Houston deserves a team. That part is right. What's wrong is how this deal got done. What's wrong is that the league overrode a seller's right to choose their buyer. What's wrong is that 2 higher bids were blocked, not because they were bad for the league, but because they weren't going where Engelbert wanted them to go. Here's where things stand right now. The Connecticut Sun will play one final season in 2026, one last year in Uncasville, one last chance for Connecticut fans to say goodbye to the team the Mohegan Tribe built. And then, in 2027, the Houston Comets return. The WNBA Board of Governors still has to formally approve the deal. But given that the commissioner personally endorsed this outcome months before the sale happened, don't expect any surprises. The DOJ investigation? That's a longer story. Antitrust cases move slowly. By the time any ruling comes, if one ever does, the Comets will already be playing in Houston. Here's the part I keep coming back to. The WNBA just signed a $2.2 billion television deal. The league is worth more than it has ever been worth. Franchise values have gone from $10 million to $300 million in less than a decade. And in the middle of all that growth, Cathy Engelbert just showed every future seller exactly what their ownership rights are worth. Nothing. If she wants your team somewhere else, it goes there, at whatever price she decides is acceptable. The Mohegan Tribe stepped up when nobody wanted a WNBA team. They were first. They made history. They kept women's basketball alive in New England for 23 years. They deserved better than this. And so did the fans.